what's your favorite proof passage?
Psalm 22. Hang on. Psalm 22. You made me trust you at my mother's breast. Where is that? Psalm 22,
Verse 9.
9. Yeah, you are he who took me from the womb. You made me trust you at my mother's breasts. On you I was cast from my birth, and from my mother's womb you have been my God. So that's the proof passage for not only infant but preborn faith.
Very nice. That was profound. You want to hear mine?
Go for it.
It's verse 17 in Matthew 21, which we're talking about today. And you look at that and you say, that's absurd. But here's why it's my favorite. It's because this is Homer Simpson's proof passage. So in season 4 of The Simpsons, the episode is Homer the Heretic, and he decides he's not going to go to church anymore. So Reverend Lovejoy comes over to dinner, and he quotes Matthew 7 about the foolish man building his house on sand. And Homer retorts and he goes, oh yeah? Well, what about Matthew 21:17? And Reverend Lovejoy quotes it. And it's not in the ESV, but he just says it so blankly. He goes, and leaving them, he went out to the city to Bethany and lodged there. And Homer goes, yeah, think about that.
Okay.
Now here's why it's so beautiful. I don't know if the writers of The Simpsons were intentional on this, but like Matthew 21 this has got to be the proof passage chapter in the Bible. I mean, did you notice how many times Old Testament passages were quoted here?
Yeah, that's right. And Jesus is going after them. I noticed how he says a couple of times, haven't you ever read? have you opened your Bibles lately?
I love it. Yeah. Did you read that with dripping sarcasm like I did? Verse 16. Have you never read?
That's right.
And of course the answer is maybe they did read or maybe they didn't, but they clearly didn't understand it.
Right. Because what we have here is the culmination of this division between, on the one hand, the disciples. I've been thinking about Mark 7 for this coming Sunday. The disciples whose ears have been opened, they've been in the process of being opened so that they can then speak plainly, speak in an orthodox way, versus those whose ears are stopped and they're getting more and more stopped. So that even what they have heard, they understand less and less and less, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Now, do you want to talk about what's the proper way to do proof passages and the improper way?
Well, improper would be I think plucking things out of context, right? That would be the obvious, most common abuse of proof passages, plucking something out of context.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's the reductionistic tendency, I think, too, where you take one topic and then you have one Bible verse to support your view on it. So this is kind of how I view a lot of eschatology. Do you always get nervous when somebody comes up to you and they go, hey, I started reading the Bible and I started with that Revelation. And so what about this 1,000-year thing?
Right. There was a really helpful, Tim Wood published a machine translation of, who was it? Dow, maybe, on the interpretation of Revelation 20. Super helpful. The way that the systematic way of going through that and explaining why it's figurative, that's really helpful, by the way.
Yeah, good. So Jesus doesn't do the out of context, just a reductionistic thing. Like, he is totally stooped in the scriptures. And there seems to be a running thing here. I'd have to chart this out because Psalm 118 seems to be like the governing proof passage here, if you will. Like, Jesus is living this out, right? So you've got Hosanna, that's verse 25, and then it's quoted again in verse 42. So it kind of forms an inclusio, if you will, in this chapter, where it starts with Psalm 118, it ends with Psalm 118, and everywhere in between. I should have mapped that out. And Hosanna is quoted again 2 times. Did you notice that? It's in verse 9. That's Palm Sunday, but then it's also said in verse 15 when the children are crying to him in the temple.
Yeah, there's this kind of objection to the enactment of Psalm 118, and I love the reaction. The reaction is kind of like, no, this this is happening, right? Psalm 118 is happening right now. So you could try to stop it, but it's happening.
Now, what's marvelous about that is you keep reading in Psalm 118, and it's talking about binding the festal sacrifice up to the altar.
Yes, right. There's all this stuff about timing in there too, because 118 and what they're doing at, no, I might be wrong about 118, but what they're doing at in the triumphal entry are Feast of Booths kinds of things, right?
Yep.
And here we have this confluence, right? This intersection between those kinds of things and the festal sacrifice, which is actually the Passover lamb that is to be slain, right?
Yeah, good. So the Psalms 120 to 134, those are the songs of ascent. So those are the psalms that you would sing as you go up to Jerusalem. And then Psalms 113 to 118, those are the Hallel psalms, right? The praise psalms that you would actually sing at the festival. And so I think it's the extra biblical book Succoth, meaning booths or tabernacles, and Weinberg talks about this quite a bit, but it's really helpful because Psalm 118 is the culminating psalm. It's the last of the Hallel psalms. So this is the last great day of the feast, any feast. So tabernacles, Pentecost, and particularly this is leading up to the Passover. Do you know what they would do when they got to verse 25, according to the book of Succoth?
No, tell me.
They would have palm branches in their hand, and they would whip the altar, and they would scream at the altar, Hosanna, save us, because that was the very presence of Yahweh. And I mean, what are they doing to Jesus here on Palm Sunday?
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I was thinking similarly about kind of anti-festival things. You feel free to rein this in if you want, but I was thinking about, because we're doing Daniel in my Wednesday evening Bible class, and it just happens to be that I'm also in Ezra for my Sunday morning Bible class at the moment. And so in Daniel 1, you have the vessels leaving Jerusalem and going to Babylon. And in Ezra 1, you have the vessels being sent back by Cyrus to Jerusalem. And of course, we have no Ark of the Testimony here. We don't have gold coming into Jerusalem, but we do have the vessel that is the body of Jesus coming into the temple, right? Suddenly it will come into his temple and the earth will be shaken, right?
Yeah, I don't need to rein that in. That sounds great.
But it is kind of you might remember how in Ezra, when they are rebuilding the temple and those who had seen it in its former glory, they weep, right? And there's this ambiguity in my mind about whether they're weeping for what was lost or weeping for the fact that it's been restored. It's a little unclear. And there's that same kind of ambiguity here, I think,
Okay, so this lines up perfectly then. So where Jesus goes in verse 1 is to the Mount of Olives. So, okay, holy smokes, Old Testament bells ringing off there for multiple reasons. So Zechariah 14, which is that like the hardest chapter in the Old Testament?
Yeah, Zechariah is pretty hard altogether, right?
Yeah. But I love it because it mentions it's God standing on the Mount of Olives on the day of the Lord, right? And the mountain is split. This is verse 4.
4, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, so you've got that going on, and so at the end of the chapter, verse 16, then everyone who survives of all the nations that have come against Jerusalem shall go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and keep the Feast of Booths, which we know they did stuff with palm branches during the Feast of Tabernacles. That's Leviticus. Is it 23? Is that where those get spelled out? It's 22 or 23. I mean, it just all comes together here in Matthew 21. Now,
yeah.
Further, do you have anything to say about Zechariah 14? Because
no, I'm enjoying it. Just keep going.
Okay, so then Mount of Olives, if you recall, is where David flees to when he's running away from Absalom. So that's the son. So Absalom is the son of David, and in so many ways, right? But it's the one way that he's actually not the true son of David. So think about the way in which he is as the son of David. So biologically, he's the son of David. He rides on a donkey, right? He essentially is king in Jerusalem, and he dies on a tree. Now, the problem is that his heart was not after the Lord. But so do you see Jesus like fulfilling Absalom's kind of like reversing the curse a little bit, because Jesus is following the same footsteps. Jerusalem to Mount Olives, and now he's coming back from the Mount of Olives to Jerusalem.
I just wanted to see if I could get something about Nazarites in there as well because of Absalom's
long hair. Yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of an anti-Nazarite as well. Yeah.
He shall be called a Nazarene.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then, so the Mount of Olives, do you know what direction that is from Jerusalem?
No, I don't.
East. So, coming back, what gate do you think Jesus would have been walking through? The east gate.
Lay it on me.
The east gate, which is where in Ezekiel the glory of the Lord returns, right?
Oh, yes. Right. Okay, I gotcha.
I mean, isn't this fun?
It is too much, right? It's all piled together in such an incredible way. It's unbelievable. And that's that's all the esoteric stuff, right? Ezekiel and Zechariah is relatively esoteric. Then there's all kinds of really much plainer things like fig leaves and cleansing ceremonies, or like the inspection of the temple, right? You get Genesis and Leviticus in here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then you get Zechariah 9 quoted there. So that's nice. Do you want to deconstruct Palm Sunday with me a little bit?
Okay.
So I think we can break it up into mainly 4 things. What they said, which is Hosanna, the donkey, the clothes, both on the donkey and on the ground, and then the branches.
Okay.
Are those kind of the 4 main elements, you would say, along with the geography, which we already kind of talked about?
Yeah. Do you think that the instructions, like the authority, the exercise of authority at the beginning, is also significant?
Oh, I just love it because whenever Jesus says something's going to happen and he gives all the details, it happens exactly as he said. And you get that in Luke 24. Remember the 2 men at the tomb? They said, remember just as he told you.
Right. Yeah, just as he said. Yeah. So and in fact, it's just as he said, and it's just as the prophet said. Yeah. So it's not for lack of knowledge. It's not for lack of information that the world perishes, but it's because they don't recognize it. They don't acknowledge it.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, in one sense, being a Christian is the most rationalistic thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, Jesus is going to do this again on Monday, Thursday, right? He said, hey, go into the city. You're going to find a guy with a jar of water. Follow him. Ask for the room. Same kind of instruction going on there. And it happened just as he said.
Yeah. Wonder how unsettling that was. I'm just thinking about how it should serve. It should serve to convey confidence to the disciples, but they seem at this point to be most prone to lose confidence. They just can't keep their wits about them.
Yeah. Do you think we should give them a little, I don't know, mercy on it because the resurrection hadn't happened yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that whatever the pouring out of the Spirit means, they had not received the promised Spirit yet, right?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, and it's so amazing because back in chapter 16, Peter confesses Jesus to be the Christ, and Jesus said, "My Father revealed this to you." But it really just shows you, if you're going to use the parable of the sower, it's possible to waft back and forth between the different kind of soils.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so you broke it down. You started with what they said. That was the first thing you said, which doesn't come first in the pericope, but go ahead.
It wasn't in any particular order, so I guess I could organize it better. But Hosanna definitely is Psalm 118. Save us now, and it's acknowledging that Jesus Christ is Yahweh, because it's save us now, Lord, right? Is that verse? Yeah, save us, we pray, O Lord. And there's the tetragrammaton. So that kind of address, Hosanna is the Hebrew, in Psalm 118 is reserved for God himself. And it continues, O Lord, we pray, give us success. Okay, what does that mean? Success. It's got to be like eternal life, right?
Yeah, establish the work of our hands. That's Moses' psalm. I always wonder about that. Establish the work of our hands. What is it? What are we trying to attain? What are we trying to accomplish? Yeah, it's got to be eternal life. Yeah. I was just looking for, because in Luke they say something different. Where is it? Why can't I find the triumphal entry in Luke?
It's is it Luke 19?
I
Does that
think
sound
so.
right? Or that's the yep, it
Yeah,
is.
there it
There
is.
you go.
Okay. Because they say, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and
Mm.
glory in the highest." I love that. I love that, peace in heaven and glory in the highest. It's the reversal of what the angels sang, peace on earth and glory in the highest. So Luke bookends us there. But I was just thinking about the king language. Blessed is the king. So what Matthew's reporting is um, much more divine, right? It's got this son of David, in the name of the Lord, right? Much more divine reference to Psalm 118. And Luke has this kingly reference.
Is is that an amalgamation of Zechariah 9 and Psalm 118? The blessed is the king who comes in the name of the Lord. Because Psalm 118, verse 26 is blessed is he who
Yeah,
comes in the name of the Lord.
yeah, yeah. I bet it is. That makes sense.
Um, which kind of that kind of informs us on doing proof passages too. Like if you did you notice this ever reading like Luther and he's quoting the Bible and he's clearly not looking at it, but he's quoting it. But I think it's so beautiful because he's really taken it to heart and he's made it his own. Of course, the
Hmm.
danger in this is that you like just completely forget what it says. So in a sense, you do kind of want to double check, but in another sense, there's nothing wrong with taking a verse and then making it own, as long as it aligns with the analogy of faith.
Right. Well, yeah, in the end, it aligns with the intention of like what the Bible wants to be saying, right? Um, not just like the narrow analogy of faith, but also you have to abide by what the text is trying to say. Yeah,
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's Hosanna. You want to talk about donkeys? Do you
Yep.
like Shrek?
Sure.
Good. Great, great movie, which really teaches you about typology and all other sorts of things. I'm telling my members all the time, go watch Shrek.
And do they? Are they abiding your word?
They are abiding my word. I had a lady who she went home and she watched. Are there 4 movies now? I've only ever seen the first 2. So if somebody wants to say, hey, you need to watch Shrek the third, okay, I'll make time for it, I guess. But Shrek 1 and 2 are great. So she went home and watched all 4 of the Shrek movies and said she's never laughed so hard in her entire life. So
Hey, there you go.
now, typologically, tell me about donkeys in the Old Testament.
Well, they're always royal animals, right? But royal animals of peace. So you've got Solomon riding on David's. Well, so now we've talked about this before, haven't we? A mule. Is it matter that it's a mule and not a donkey?
I
Uh,
it could if I'm reading too much into it. The thing about a mule is it can't reproduce, so the line kind of stops there.
sure, sure. So it's a different kind of royal animal. It's not like a war horse or something like that. But it's also not a sign of poverty. It's royal and meekly royal, right?
Meekly Royal, the new newsletter by Reverend David Buchs, Meekly Royal.
Okay.
Well, I'm particularly interested in the function of donkeys in the Book of Judges.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Heaps upon
Um,
heaps.
yeah, so you got you got Samson, who of course kills 1,000 men with the jawbone of a donkey. And then you've also got in Judges 10, 30 sons riding 30 donkeys. And then in Judges 12, 40 sons and 30 grandsons who rode 70 donkeys, which is not a sign of humility at all, because if we recall, 70 is the number of nations. And so really the picture is they're trying to rule the entire world with these 70 donkeys.
Yeah. This is Abimelech, right? Abimelech's got the 30 sons who ride on 30 donkeys. Who are the 70 on 70 donkeys?
Well,
Mm.
the 30 is Jair the Gileadite. So these are
Oh,
the
yeah, yes. Okay.
these are the more obscure
Hmm.
um,
Okay.
judges, and then the 70 is Abdon.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Okay.
But what's kind of going on in this point of the book of Judges is it's kind of alternating if they're going to be faithful or not faithful. And James Jordan really helpfully teases this out, is if they have 40 kids, that means they're engaging in polygamy, which is made explicit with Gideon, and then it's implicitly, that's the only biological way it's possible, though.
Yeah.
And we looked
So
it
it's
up.
this. I mean, it's this absolute effort to yeah. It's like the Tower of Babel, except instead of constructing a building that goes up to heaven, you're trying to construct a family that will rule the earth, right?
Oh, yeah, that's good. It's good. We mentioned Solomon a little bit. So two sons of David ride donkeys, Solomon and then Absalom. It's like Jesus is an even better son of David, which brings us back to Matthew 1:1, right? The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of Abraham, the son of David, or is it the son of David, the son of Abraham? I always get the order mixed up. Yeah, son of David first, son of Abraham second. That's right, because this is the culmination of the son of David. And then from this point forward, we're binding the festal sacrifice. So the rough outline now after this is he's going to be the new Isaac, the son of Abraham.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need a new line. We need a new line proceeding from the man of faith. That's right. Okay.
Okay.
And it goes back further, right? Because he's a priest after the order of Melchizedek.
Now you're going to send me into orbit.
Yeah. Was there anything in Genesis 14? Was it 14 about donkeys after the conquest of Sodom and or the conquest by kings of? I always forget about.
In Genesis 12, there's
Let's see here.
donkeys. And then
Okay.
Ishmael is a wild donkey of a man.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I
was just curious if there was anything in the plunder when the five
oh,
kings go after the four kings.
oh, sure. Doesn't look like it according to my concordance, but
Yeah, I don't
there's
see
a
either.
there's a great Isaac connection because they Abraham saddles his donkey in Genesis 22 with Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any donkeys?
No,
This is always time.
they're good. They're good herd protection animals. You get them to because they'll kick a coyote, send it flying across the field.
I want to make a coyote hat, and the good news is they are unprotected animals, so hunting season is 365 days a year.
We just lost our PETA endorsement, so thanks a lot, Josh.
What's your favorite PETA acronym?
Let's keep going.
All right, so clothes. Got to talk about Jehu, right?
Yep. Yeah. What an amazing connection. It's so subtle, right? It's just hidden. It's hidden there in the middle of what is it? First Kings. It's First Kings. Or is that Second Kings? I didn't get. Yeah.
Looks like it's 2 Kings 9, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's taking counsel with his guys, with his bros, and the prophet runs in, says, "I've got something to tell you." And then when his buddies try to, what did he say to you? Well, you know what that guy's like.
Don't
and
worry
then when they push him even harder, he says that he's been anointed king, and then they all take it to heart, right?
Yeah. So what's this action with Jehu and then with Jesus about taking off your clothes and putting it on the ground? I mean, it's got to be rend your hearts, not your garments, but like in a symbolic way, like they're showing that they're rending their hearts to Christ, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a symbolic action of deference. How much lower could you put yourself unless you put yourself underneath the guy's feet, right? Putting your cloak under his feet is pretty deferential.
And the action of Jehu then is he just goes and completely destroys Jezebel and all the wickedness. And that's what Jesus is coming to do too.
Yeah, and this is one of those places where if you were a Pharisee and you were tracking the narrative, you would expect Jesus to do something to the Romans, but he's here to do something to the Jews, right?
Oh, sure. That's what this chapter is about, especially with the parable of the vineyard, right?
Mm-hmm.
about leasing it to others. Yeah, and the two sons. It's like it's not who you thought it was. All right, and then do you want to spend the next hour talking about palm branches with me?
No, no, I
Oh,
don't.
bummer.
What they're signs of victory, right? They're celebratory, victorious kinds of things.
Yeah, yeah. So biblically, is it the first place they show up? Well, the first place they show up is probably Exodus 15, with the 70 palm trees and the 12
The palm
springs of water,
oasis. Yeah.
right? Which is Israel feeding the world. But then you remember what the city of palms is?
Yeah, that's Jericho. Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
that's Jericho. So first city that's conquered in the promised land. And so it's really a picture of conquering, victory, as you said. That's right. And then to take it further, in the temple, engraved in the woodwork. So you got the three different types of trees in there, but you've got palm trees engraved in the temple.
Yeah. Huh.
And then we mentioned the Feast of Tabernacles as well. But like everything is coming together here at the temple, which is where Jesus is walking into.
Yeah. So if you were gonna, so palm trees, different trees have different. We did trees once long ago, right? Did we say what? Did we say what palm trees signify? Just it's like, I mean, so the use of the branches is in victory celebrations, but what about the tree itself? Does that have any significance? The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. That's Psalm 92, and grow like a cedar in Lebanon. So they definitely have a majesty about them, right?
That's well, great. That's great because the scene there is the temple, right? That's like you're going to be like so. Psalm 125. So speaking about mountains, says those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion. So you get this picture of you become like God, like in the best sense, because God is like a tree, right? Tall, sturdy cedars of Lebanon. Certainly, he describes himself as a mountain, unchanging. He is the rock. But the incredible thing is, like we become like that too.
Yeah, that's good.
And then, did we mention the Feast of Tabernacles, palm trees? We did long ago, but
Yes.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, trees and branches and fruit has got to be a part of the connection there a little bit too, especially with the parable of the vineyard here. He just wants to collect fruit.
Yeah. So, and palm trees are very fruitful, right? Dates and coconuts and all kinds of things, right?
Mm.
Is that true? What kind of fruit do palm trees produce? Dates and coconuts. Look at that. You might as well call me Google.
What, you're the evil lord trying to know everything about me?
That's right. I just want to make money off your data. I just have to mention that in Song of Songs, she is like a palm tree. And yeah, anyways. So there's something feminine about it too.
Oh, interesting, interesting. Okay, good. Well, coming out from the CloudCast soon enough is an entire 18-week Bible course on palm trees.
All right. So we got cloaks, we got palms, we've got what they said. Was there another thing that you wanted to
I think
what
we
did you
got
say?
through all
Deconstruct? Okay.
the four, but I think they all come together though, and like scriptural fulfillment is the point, because these all have their types in the Old Testament, and it's fun to trace the development, and that's what Jesus is going to do explicitly throughout this chapter.
Right. And part of it's got to be there's a culmination here, right? A coming together of all of these scriptural themes, but it is also um, it's not the fulfillment, right? Because what's coming next in the upcoming chapters is judgment. So it's kind of like you know how the Old Testament is full of these. The prophets especially are warning about the day of the Lord. I was struck by this passage in Amos again recently, Amos 5. Woe to those who hasten the day of the Lord, who say that they're looking forward to the day of the Lord when their deeds are evil, right? So you've got on the one hand all of this stuff that's coming together, and it is not the thing itself, right? It is instead forecasting what's coming next, and what's coming next is judgment. 21 through 25 is all about all judgment, ending in the judgment of the world in 25, right?
Yeah, I had somebody ask me last week, should we pray for Jesus to come back? And it
Well,
was,
yeah,
well,
we should.
yeah, I that's what I said, but it does like it. says, hey, well, it, depends where you're at, do you actually believe? Then yes. And we do pray that in the Lord's Prayer, mind you.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what Amos 5 says. Woe to you who desire the day of the Lord. Why would you have the day of the Lord? It is darkness and not light. As if a man, this is so good. The poets are great. The prophets are great. As if a man fled from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand against the wall and a serpent bit him. Yeah. So that's what's coming. That's what's coming on. I mean, the warnings here are stark, right? Judgment is either very, very good or very, very bad. There's no in between.
Yep, that's true. It's either full pardon or yeah, that's good. We should tease that out a little bit more later. You're right. But throughout the Psalms, is it Psalm 97? We rejoice in your judgments, O Lord.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Righteous are your judgments, right? And in fact, it's like the truth of God's judgments that matter for the Christian. If he's not righteous in his judgments and true in his judgments, then we're hopeless.
Now, one more thing about palm trees that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. Only John explicitly mentions that they are palm branches. So Matthew, Mark, and Luke do not tell us that particular detail.
Interesting. Well, John loves the feasts, so...
Of course, and John's the only gospel writer who mentions the Feast of Tabernacles. It's John 7.
Yeah.
I was listening to, this was a while ago, you on another podcast, and you were talking about what you tell people to read the Bible, what you tell people to read out of the Bible first. And of course, you said Mark, which I knew, but then your buddy Jordan Peterson said start with Paul, which kind of, I was thinking about that, and I was like, I don't think I would start there, but it's one of those things where I don't know if there's a wrong answer. Of course, the wrong answer would probably be like Song of Solomon, but even then, hey, maybe depending on the person.
Yeah, maybe. I was thinking about that very suggestion as I was reading Romans 5 late last week, and I thought, I did think to myself, Romans 5 is material for a new believer, or like somebody in catechesis. It tells the story so well, right? Just as one trespass led to condemnation for all men, so one act of righteousness leads to justification and life for all men, right? And while we were still enemies of God, while we were still weak at the right time, God died for you. God, it's so good. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
I was thinking about this too, because we might give Luke and Acts short shrift too, because I know it's going to be the longest by far to read. But what's so beautiful about reading through Luke, and then in particularly Acts, is you get essentially the entire Old Testament through the sermons of the people preaching. I mean, it's a masterpiece of how he hooks it all up.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's really good.
But anyways, your buddy Jordan Peterson said that John was the most theological of the Gospels, and so it was like the hardest to grasp, which is something to really wrestle with, I suppose. But I hate saying that to the detriment of the other three. Like, it is true that John is like the eagle that soars high above the rest. That's true. But as we've just displayed, it's like, man, Matthew is incredibly theological.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's probably a fool's errand to try to... suppose a man were to set the sun against the moon and the land against the sea. Some fool would say that one were better than the other, right? So...
I'm just trying to pit Jordan Peterson against Ben Shapiro, and see what happens.
Okay, that's good.
They work for the same organization, so if there's more in that metaphor you'd like to stretch at sometime, let me know.
Okay. It's pretty thin right now. Let's just be. It's pretty thin.
Okay, now the question at the end of Palm Sunday is, when he entered Jerusalem, this is verse 10, the whole city was stirred up. And just like at his birth, right? The whole city was disturbed when they were told about the new king. And they said, who is this? And verse 11, the crowd answered, this is the prophet Jesus. And that's reminding me of Matthew 16, who do people say that I am? And you get that laundry list, but then some say some of the prophets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this answer like it's not wrong, but it's totally inadequate.
Yeah, it's a celebrity recognition, but nobody knows him. They don't actually know him, right?
Now, if he actually was a prophet, then they should listen to what he has to say.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find the trilemma really helpful in apologetics?
The trilemma.
Yeah. So since Jesus has said that he's Lord, he can only logically
Okay.
be one of three things: liar,
Right.
lunatic, or Lord. And what it does is it really protects against this very thing where people want to say, well, he's just a good teacher. It's like, what? No, like he can't say that he's God and not be God and be a good teacher.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. And that's connected then to the whole of Scripture, right? Because Jesus gives us the whole Bible. He connects the whole Bible together. So in order, if you're gonna have Jesus at all, you have to have the whole thing. You can't just have bits and pieces of it.
That's good. No Bible without Jesus, and no Jesus without the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think we've articulated this typology of the double cleansing on the podcast before, but we're both wholly bought into it that Jesus cleansed it twice, right?
Right. Yes, that he cleansed it twice, and that this was a fulfillment of the inspection of an unclean dwelling place, right? To see if the leprosy in the walls is can be remediated, or if the building needs to be torn down, right?
Yeah. So this is Leviticus 13 and 14 about the laws about leprosy and then cleansing leprosy. And by the way, if you're uninformed, the reason this is a discussion is because in John chapter 2, Jesus cleansed the temple, which is right after the turning the water into wine. So it's right at the beginning of Jesus's ministry, while Matthew, Mark, and Luke all have it occurring during Holy Week. And rather than do violence to the text, I think it's just easiest to say, hey, you did it twice. For that very reason, because the priestly inspection happened two times. And then this is what always gets me is during that priestly inspection, if he founds it to have perpetual leprosy, it says not one stone was to be left on top of another.
Yeah, yeah. It's too. I mean, it's almost too good to be true. I like I like here also the specificity with which Jesus. I mean, it's like he gives us his inspector's report, right? So at least these two things: my house shall be called a house of prayer, and which is Isaiah, a house of prayer for all nations, right? That's the operative part of it. This is back to your question about context. When Jesus quotes the scriptures, he's always implying, I think, more context and instead of less, right? Because the implication there is like, of course, sincere prayer is the point, but the bigger point is uh, a house of prayer for all people. The people of Israel were to be intercessors for the whole world. Okay. And then also that has been made into a den of robbers, which I didn't really like. Jeremiah 7 is very clear, which is the reference here. It's very clear that what the people are doing is they're coming to the temple and they are refusing to amend their ways, right? So they come and they say, we are delivered, and then they go home to continue on their sinful way. But it hadn't really clicked until this morning that it's called a den of robbers, not because robbery is taking place there, but because this is where the robbers go to hide in safety after they've committed their crimes. I don't know why that wasn't obvious to me until this morning. Because when I teach my kids about this, they're always like, because they were robbing in the temple, and I'm like, well, that's not actually it. But they, you know, and now I know that's not even what the phrase means, right? This is not the place where the robbery is taking place. This is where the robbers are finding their comfort and security.
Now, so I think that I agree that's the primary reason, but like, don't you think that if they're doing it outside, they're probably doing it inside too? Like, that phrase, if
Yes.
people are gossiping about others to you, what do you think they're saying about you when they're talking to others?
Yes, absolutely. So the third thing is actually the first thing that he does, right? Turning over the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons, right? Because there are two ways you can sell and exchange, and one of them is honestly and for pious reasons, and the other is to extort and defraud. And so, just as the robbery is taking place outside the walls of the den of robbers, there's no loyalty among thieves, so they're certainly robbing each other as well.
Is this a commentary on futures markets?
Maybe.
I know I complained about it for like 10 minutes of like a month ago, and I'm still gonna ring the bell on this one. It's awful. We should outlaw it, and it's crazy that the federal government is making a distinction between it and gambling. And I mean, it's just making reality so fake. So somebody should tell us, are there any future markets on the CloudCast on if we're gonna say a certain word? Like, how many times is Buchs gonna drop the word discipline this week? Like, the over under has got to be 4, And is somebody making some serious dough off of this?
We do have 274 subscribers on YouTube right now. So I mean, and some of them probably have some money in their pockets.
So somebody just told me yesterday, hey, you guys should say to like the video and subscribe more often. So I'm just gonna say it now. Hey, like the video, subscribe more often. We're doing this for the money.
And what you just said was like the video and subscribe more often.
Hey, I mean, that's great. Like, subscribe to this channel like you vote in Chicago, create more YouTube accounts. I don't really care about how many people are legitimately behind those accounts. I just care about the raw number.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, 15 of those accounts are my old Gmail accounts. I mean,
yeah. At least 40 of the views are me clicking refresh. So
that's right. Now, real quick, so you're saying that the temple should have been IHOP, the International House of Prayer? I think that's what you said.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Well, do you remember that marketing thing? This has got to be a decade, or this is like 12 years ago, I think, because I remember listening to this on Mike and Mike on the radio, and they haven't been on the radio together in a long time. By the way, I miss that. I miss listening to the radio on my way to work and whatever. So they changed their name. This was a stunt. They didn't actually legally do it, to iHob.
Nope.
And they partnered with Disney ESPN. So the big reveal, this is such a stupid marketing tease. They're like, what does the B stand for? What does the B stand for? And then it comes out that it's the International House of Burgers. So they are really pushing the fact that IHOP sells hamburgers. Now, somebody should let me know, do they still do this? I haven't been to IHOP in a minute.
It's all lost on me. I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Really? Oh gosh. Okay, so you're in Arkansas. How many times a week do you go to Waffle House?
Never. I don't go to Waffle House.
Bro, how are you doing contextual ministry?
I don't even know if there is a Waffle House near me. Oh yeah, there is. Look at that. There's 4 of them. 3 of them.
Oh my gosh.
4 of them. 5, 6, 7. Wow. Okay.
Did you not do the demographic study from LCEF when you got the call? Like, the first thing that would have showed up was go to Waffle House.
That's not the kind of pastor I am, Josh.
What kind of pastor are you?
GBD. We'll see. It probably has something to do with discipline.
Just wait 1 second here as I open up this beautiful 750 milliliter bottle of San Pellegrino and drink it right in front of you. The freshwater bergamot. That's what kind of pastor I am. Oh, this is great. We're gonna get to water, with the fig tree and throwing the mountain into the sea, which brings my 3 big motifs about the Psalms together. So trees, mountains, we've already talked about that, but then also you've got the geographical feature of water, namely rivers, but also sea, right? So Psalm 46, there is a river which makes glad the city of God.
Yeah. Different kinds of water doing different kinds of things. What's the difference between the sea and the river biblically?
That's good. The sea is typically associated with the Gentiles, right?
Yeah, which is why when the second angel blows his trumpet and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea and the third of the sea becomes blood, that's really interesting to me, because it sure feels like somebody prayed that this mountain would be cast into the sea, and it did.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So I'm thinking about the Bronze Sea in the temple, because all of these geographical features are in the temple, because it's on a mountain, right? So it's Mount Zion. Yep. Okay. You've got the trees with the different kind of woods and the palm trees, and then you've got the sea there. I mean, I've never thought this before until now, but is this throwing down the temple? Like, is this the temple imploding in on itself?
Yeah, I think so, and I think so. I think that it's destruction of the old age, right? And what's really striking to me is that Jesus says you could pray for this and it would happen. And I think the implication is you should pray for this. Not wanton destruction, but that the old leaven would be cast out, right?
Because he says this mountain, right? And where is he?
Yeah.
He's
He's
Mount
got to be
Zion.
talking about this mountain. I know. Yeah, it seems unavoidable to me.
And
But
it
I
does
hadn't really
happen.
noticed before because in Zechariah you've got this description of what happens to the Mount of Olives, right? It's split in two.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Which of course,
Now,
I mean, it saves this this fig tree episode and and his word about prayer. It saves it from being merely about whatever getting what you want up from God, right? If what you want is conviction concerning sin, righteousness, and judgment, then you'll get that, right?
yeah, that's good. And the qualification at the end of verse 22 is like, if you have faith.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Which would be exactly what you just talked about. Now, this is why I think the years like have to be. Now, I'm not I'm not dogmatic about it, but it's really cool that if Jesus dies in 30 AD, it's 40 years after Jesus says that this happens, where the mountain is thrown into the sea and everything is destroyed, which is the period of judgment.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, it seems again almost too good to be true for the year to be 70. In fact, as well, right?
Right. Now, I'm not. My only problem with like this full reading of this is I'm not going to take the full preterist reading of it, because I think this also does say something about the future end times as well.
I think that the way to think about it is always in a fractal way, right? So it happens on one scale, and then it happens on another scale, and what happens to little will also happen to much.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yep. Anything more about fig trees? I always want to go back because it seems like, so that perfect fractal, the fig tree is a symbol of Israel in the Old Testament. So fig trees and vineyards go hand in hand, typically, right? Is it Isaiah 5, the Song of the Vineyard? Isn't there a fig tree there? And then Jesus tells a parable about a fig tree, and then he's going to tell a parable about a vineyard here. So it seems to be the narrow sense is Israel, but then the wider sense is Genesis 3 with the fig leaves, almost as if like sin itself is being cursed when Jesus curses this tree.
Yeah, it's the reign of the fig tree is coming to an end. The reign in which all you have is leafiness and no fruit, right? And the leaves don't even accomplish very much. They can't get the job done. To me, the fig leaves are a sign of like old covenant, impoverished old covenant ways of doing things.
Oh, this is why a bacon wrapped fig is the most theological food there is.
There you go. The fig being subsumed in the pork.
Precisely, new covenant overtaking the old. That's right. But you've got the old covenant still there, so it's not abolishing it, but it's fulfilling it.
Excellent.
Man, would somebody please just make me some bacon wrapped figs again? I'm dying here.
Okay. So they asked Jesus about. So he does this, and especially if this is the second time that he's done it, I love thinking about the question they're asking. Is like they're like, okay, you keep doing this thing. By what authority are you doing these things?
Which valid question, right?
Yes, and he doesn't answer it, but there's almost a sense in which he is answering it, because he asks them about John, and the baptism of John is where he gets his authority.
Oh, that's good. And they have to answer it, because if the answer that they're going to give is from heaven, then Jesus is saying, well, then I'm from heaven too.
Right. Because the voice came from heaven at the baptism of John, telling me I'm the Son of God.
Isn't this the fundamental question with like everything dogmatics, particularly baptism? Like, it's still pressing. So like, what's your view on baptism? Is it from heaven or is it from man? And that's gonna divide Christendom into two. It's like, do you baptize babies? Well, is it from heaven or is it from man?
Yeah, the ministry, is it from heaven or is it from man?
Yeah, good one. You could take every dogmatic category. The papacy, from heaven or from man?
Yeah, good. There's the Reformation in a nutshell.
That's right. Yeah, I love this catch-22. because they're like, we're gonna get you, and then he flips it around.
And I also love that this shows, because they've done this before, right? Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath, or to whatever, to do good on the Sabbath? Doesn't he say to kill or to make alive, or to kill or to save? When he asks them,
I think that's in Mark, but yeah.
Yeah, probably. And they don't answer. And I mean, on the one hand, you've got what's so striking is the contrast here between, on the one hand, this what feels like layers and layers of sophisticated theology. You know, like, do you understand what's going on here? Do you understand the fulfillment of all of these types and all of these symbols? But that at its heart, sin and hard-heartedness is just stupid, right? It doesn't know basic things. And it's worse than that, because it's not just that it doesn't know basic things, but it suppresses the truth in unrighteousness, right? It refuses to know basic things.
Yeah, you ever tried to get Homer Simpson to come to church? I mean, that's what it's like.
Yeah,
that's true. It's so good. Just call it stupid. I listened to a sermon by Peter Cage. This was a long time ago, but he was preaching on this pericope, and he had such a good quip. He said, "It's appropriate to say we do not know when you actually don't know."
Yeah, right.
But this is just cowardice.
Uh-huh.
Why aren't they willing to just say? Now it's interesting because they'll say that Jesus is Beelzebul behind his back.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a strange kind of shrewdness, right? Because they know that they don't have the buy-in that they need from everybody in order to finish the deed, right? So on the one hand, they're stupid, but on the other hand, they're very, very shrewd, because they're not overplaying their hand. You know,
that's true. If only we were as shrewd as the sons of this age.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what do you think? Verse 28. I love that question. It's so introspective.
Yeah, that's good. But how does that come through in Greek? You think? Yeah, good.
It's so good. What do you think? A man had two sons, and like you're almost supposed to pause there and think, "Huh, I do know that story. A man did have two sons."
Yeah,
and
so and they answer they answer his question correctly, right? So they don't know where John's baptism was from, and then all he has to do is kind of couch the thing in a story, and now they do know the answers. They can't deny it, right?
Yep.
Same thing with the parable of the tenants, right? You know, he's going to kill that guy.
Surely not. This is roughly Old Covenant, New Covenant still, right? I mean, that's kind of got to be the broadly two sons, like Paul in Galatians, two mountains, son of the slave woman and son of the free woman.
Yeah, I think that right here, 28 through 44 is just recounting the history of Israel and the world, right? It's describing this moment in which the what does Jesus say? The Pharisees and the tax collectors and the prostitutes go into the kingdom of God before you, right?
Now, do you think there's a wise saying to take out of this, that it's better to be hypocritical with your words than in your actions, almost?
It sounds like something that Solomon would say. If you have to choose, your actions matter more than your words.
And what's amazing is they come around. So it's like after he does the deed, perhaps he actually did say the right thing.
This is, and it's a really remarkable how this plays out, because if you give your son some instructions and he seems not to be paying attention, and then later you find out he did what you asked him to do, it's actually even more heartening in a way than if he had agreed and did it, because you're relieved to find out that he was in fact listening.
Or even if he wasn't listening, that his heart is so in line with yours that he knows what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what you're looking for. It's not enough. Yeah. That suspicion that you're just saying the words I want to hear is a deadly suspicion, right?
So, parable of the vineyard. I want to do a fractal reading of this. So, like the first fractal, of course, would be Jesus is the son, and I mean this is just a good parable for the Old Testament, a good allegory of the servants and the prophets and the killing and all that kind of stuff. So we all get that with that this is initially Israel who rejected the prophets and then rejected God's son and killed him and put him to death. Now, of course, the great irony is that line in verse 38, this is the heir, let us kill him and have his inheritance. And the irony is only by killing the heir do you get the inheritance, but they're not going to get it, is the tragedy behind it.
Yeah, that's not the way, that's the way the inheritance is distributed, but you're not the one who's going to get it.
Now, my fractal reading is that's the initial reading, but I think we can apply this to us as well, where God is looking for fruit. And if he doesn't find it with us, he's gonna take the church from us. He's gonna give it to somebody who's gonna be fruitful. It's like we have this promise that the church is always going to remain. I'm not worried about that. The gates of hell shall not overcome it, Jesus says. But it just might not be us.
Yeah. It's time for judgment to begin at the household of God. Yeah, and if God, what does it say? If it's in Hebrews, what does he say? If it was so with them, how much more with us who have the, how does he put it? You know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah. If he casts out the sons of the covenant, like how much more is he going to do it with us? Essentially, yeah. Yep.
And I mean, it's hard. I've thought about this a bit because the gospel is so fresh. Fresh and lively. It's such a beautiful thing. It's so comforting and so peace-giving that Christians want to not ever have to hear those kinds of warnings, right? Wouldn't it be nice if we could just rest in that peace? And of course you can, but the only way is if you heed the warnings along the way, right?
Yeah, this doesn't drive me to despair. This motivates me.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because it's attainable. It's not a losing battle, right? The gates of hell will not prevail against the church. The only question is, do you want to be the church or not?
That's right. Okay, and then Psalm 118 shows up again about the builders rejecting the cornerstone. But what I love is in Psalm 118, the very next verse after "This is the Lord's doing; it is marvelous in our eyes," is "This is the day that the Lord has made; let us rejoice and be glad in it."
Yeah, that's good.
Don't you love being alive?
I love the Bible. I love Matthew 21. It's a lot of fun to chew on. And then they to close it out, they do not enjoy chewing on it. Right, 45. They heard this parable. They heard his parables. They perceived that he was speaking about them. Yeah.
Ding 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 ding.
Okay. All right. What's grinding your gears?
So I started rereading Augustine's Confessions again because it's been some time, and I always just recommend picking up something old and reading through it and just the depth there, and particularly a work like that. He's like the master of paradox with the church fathers, the way he talks about God being totally at peace, and yet like he doesn't use the word anxious to save us, but that's kind of the gist he's getting at. Like early on, he goes through all these things like God is full love, full justice, all that. So that's beautiful. And then I'm not done with that yet. That's going to be a slow burn. I picked up this book from the library. It caught my eye. It's called Finding Fibonacci, as in, Leonardo Fibonacci, the guy who the sequence is named after, who wrote this mathematics textbook back in the 1200s, which completely changed the world because it introduced the numerals that we're used to Indo-European society, and completely changed accounting and the financial industry and all of that. And the guy who wrote this was a mathematician. And it kind of sounds like a boring book if I describe it, because essentially he's describing his efforts to write another book about the life of Fibonacci, but he's going through his passages to Italy and him looking for statues and him talking with other scholars. But I really enjoyed it because it was an adventure trying to find out about somebody who lived 800 years ago and how he kind of came to these conclusions. And it was a quick, fun read. So that's what's grinding my gears.
Nice. That's fun. You'll learn something about fractals, perhaps, as well.
Perhaps. Yeah. What about you?
In Arkansas, you have to pay personal property taxes, not just on your real estate, but also on vehicles and other possessions that get assessed every year. So it's not just a registration fee, but like you have to like report what you own, and then they assess it every year, and you have to do it in a certain time frame. And I forgot to do it, so I got an ugly email this morning. That's what's grinding my gears.
Man, yeah, I guess so. You've been a citizen there now for a year, right?
It's been a year. Yeah. It was on August 19th that I was installed. So,
Wow. Okay, so is that going to come with any kind of penalty, or do you have a little bit of a grace period?
I mean, they used the word penalty on the piece of paper, but I don't know what that entails. We'll find out.
Okay,
It doesn't
let
actually
me
grind my gears that much. I own my mistake. Sorry, guys.
Well, this is the point in which people could become libertarians, is when they move to Arkansas, or so what I hear.
Is that right?
I don't know. Well, I hope. What kind of accounting methods can you use? Can you just depreciate all your assets? I mean, that seems legitimate.
Well, that's. I mean, so you report to them the sale price, and so there are ways of doing things that are probably completely illicit, but I'm just a straight shooter. I'm really afraid of getting in trouble with the government, so I try to do things according to the rules.
You should honor the emperor and pay your taxes. But I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I don't.
Like,
it's not because I honor him. I'm just afraid. That's why. So,
that's okay.
I mean, I should honor him. I try to, but I'm just reporting to you that I'm afraid. So
I'm just thinking of like what a wise man would do. Would he like sell his assets to his wife for $1, and that would be the sales price? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah,
But,
there are probably rules about that. So,
but what if she sells it back to you? Gotcha.
I would like the Arkansas Secretary of State to know, listening to this podcast, that I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm just going to do what you asked me to do.
And by the way, if you happen to run into this video because of AI or whatever, we'd love to have you on, Mr. and Mrs. Secretary. We'd love to talk about the Bible with you and pray for you.
I still have a drafted email to the other CloudCast hosts in my email. I haven't sent it yet.
Good gravy. That was like 6 months ago.
I know. I'm kind of scared, so I just haven't clicked send. I'm a big wuss, Josh. Just
maybe when we get to our subscriber goal, when we get a few hundred more subscribers, they'll see. Oh yeah, they mean business.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Get us there, folks. Like and subscribe frequently.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah.